all around the world. Roads, bridges, railways, waterways, tunnels, and airports. In one way or another, extreme. From the crazy to the deadly, the magnificent to the terrifying. Incredible engineering and astonishing human stories. These are the world's most extreme. "40 million miles of roads circle the globe. For thousands of years, they've connected communities and broadened horizons. We all have to get from A to B, but some journeys are more extreme than others.
Tener más coraje, ¿no? Para viajar.
From Bolivia to India, the Himalayas to the Arctic. A road can be a vital lifeline.
We're basically in the middle of nowhere.
A playground for thrill seekers, or a death trap.
If you get it wrong on this road, it's certain death.
Incredible journeys and extraordinary lives. Fasten your seatbelt for the 10 most extreme roads on the planet. First in our list, at 10, it's the highways of Russia, the craziest roads on Earth. Russia is home to some of the world's worst drivers.
We do not have a long history of relations with a private car. Basically, everything started after 1991, and since then we are big consumers, but that doesn't mean, the fact that we can purchase the car doesn't make us a good drivers.
With 200,000 accidents every year, you're 6 times more likely to run into trouble here than on a British road. Watch out for poor road conditions, dangerous driving, drunk driving, and crazy pedestrians. With this kind of chaos on all Russia's roads, drivers have a hard time claiming on their insurance. So people are using the only way to prove it's not their fault. Dash cams. Vehicle-mounted cameras. Always on. Capturing all the craziness. This tire is flung off an aeroplane. This truck's spilled cargo gets up and just walks away. It's an eye-opening record of true highway insanity.
We like fast living, but the speed is not in our genes. We are very fast living nation. We like fast living, but this is sort of fast living that leads to quick death, I think.
Take to the Russian highways, and you too might witness some absurd accidents. Just watch out for the cows. Na zdrowie. At number 9, Canada's Kootenay Pass, where the biggest threat to drivers are avalanches. Cutting through the frozen heart of the Rocky Mountains in western Canada is the 50-mile Kootenay Pass. Part of Highway 3 It's a vital lifeline connecting the remote towns of southern British Columbia. But this 6,000-foot high road has a problem. Every year, it's hit by hundreds of avalanches.
If an avalanche hits a truck or a car, forget it. That car is gone. It's certain death.
And if an avalanche closes this major highway, thousands suffer.
The Kootenay Pass is the only route across this major mountain range. And if that highway closes, then all of the business and everything else that goes on there comes to a halt.
1,600 vehicles a week need to get through with crucial supplies to isolated communities.
The highway was shut for a week. The grocery stores in Nelson would start running out of food. Nelson, Roslyn, all the communities on the west side of the pass.
But flanked by steep mountain slopes and subject to heavy snowfall, the Kootenay Pass can be blocked by an avalanche with very little warning. Local boys Mark Talbot and Ori Grant are avalanche specialists. They know these mountains like the backs of their hands. Today, they're heading up the slopes above the road to see how stable the snow is.
We get our weather forecast as well as our snowpack data, and then we come up with an avalanche hazard forecast for the day.
The only way through the frozen wilderness is on snowmobiles. It's a dangerous journey, but to predict whether an avalanche will strike the road below, they have to test the snow at the top. The safety of all motorists using the pass today is in their hands. And as team leader Rob Anderson can testify, avalanches are killers.
There have been fatalities on this pass with avalanches hitting vehicles. I don't think a lot of the people realize they're actually driving through an avalanche area. They're sitting down there and they're like bowling pins in the bowling alley.
Since the avalanche safety program began operating, there have been no fatalities on the Kootenay Pass. But working with avalanches is always risky.
We try to minimize the risk as much as we can by taking many safety precautions, but there is always a risk working with avalanches.
Now, up the mountain above the road, in the heart of an avalanche zone, Mark and Ori begin testing the condition of the snow.
When snow falls, it falls in layers, and some of those layers are strong, some of those layers are weak. And what we're trying to do here is we dig down, we identify the strong ones and the weak ones, and which ones are going to bond well and which ones are going to cause a problem for us in the future.
Ori's tests should give him an idea how stable the snow is across the whole slope.
1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, there's a good one. We do have a weak layer down about 50 centimeters and a lot of new snow on top of that. With the expected forecast of up to 50 centimeters, I think we could probably see some avalanches. 4, 5, 6.
The risk of an avalanche hitting the road is considerable, but needing to keep vital traffic flowing, they decide to keep the pass open.
It's a fine line between not closing too often so that we're increasing the closure times unnecessarily, but also not waiting too long so there's an unacceptable risk to the highway user.
Tonight will be a tense night for Rob and his team as they wait to see if the snow will hold. The next day, 7 a.m. Overnight, a blizzard dumped another 12 inches of snow. More snow means more weight on the snowpacks. Rob Anderson has no choice but to close the Kootenay Pass.
When we feel like the margin of safety becomes unacceptable, then we'll close the highway and perform some avalanche control, and that's what we're doing this morning.
Snowpacks could come down in a natural avalanche, but nobody knows when that will happen.
Just give me 15 seconds.
The only way Rob can make the road safe is to set off the avalanche himself while the road is closed. For this job, Rob and his team have secret weapons, helicopters and explosives.
Heavy bombing is probably one of the most effective ways, even though it's
Carrying large amounts of explosives and flying at low levels close to the mountainside, it's the most extreme part of the Avalanche specialist's job.
Once we're in position, I'll let go of the explosive over the target and take bombs away.
The team's years of experience mean they know precisely where to drop the explosives to trigger a controlled avalanche.
Put this little fountain spot right here, Rob. Yeah, this looks great. Bombs away, bombs away.
Fuse lit. Rob drops a 30-pound cluster of explosive charges. He then has 90 seconds to clear the blast zone, or the helicopter will be hit by the shockwave. The heli bombing takes just seconds to set off a huge avalanche, big enough to clear the danger. The road is now safe. But before it can reopen, the snow must be cleared. After just 2 hours, traffic is back flowing on the Kootenay Pass. It's job well done for Rob and his team. Up next, traffic mayhem in India and an outback road like no other. We've driven a road through an avalanche alley. Now at 8, we rough it in the Aussie outback on the Tanami Road. This is the roughest road down under. 660 miles of dusty desert road connecting Alice Springs in Central Australia to the gold mines of the Kimberley in the remote northwest. Out here, it's a fight for survival. Truckers and road go head to head.
It really can be a nightmare. A real truck kill over road.
And these aren't just trucks. They're super trucks called road trains.
These road trains are incredibly impressive. They're basically trucks that pull trailers, but instead of pulling one trailer at a time, they're pulling 2, 3, 4.
Ben Grayling is behind the wheel of one of the biggest trucks in the world on the infamous Tanami Road. Ben spent all his life in the outback. He's been driving trucks since his feet could reach the pedals. Today, he has a 10-hour journey in front of him, pulling 4 trailers filled with aggregates for construction work. That's right, he's taking rocks to a mine. On Australia's roughest road, experience counts.
The Tanami Road is notorious for breaking trucks. You really need to know your equipment and how it's holding up, when you need to take it easy, and when something's about to break.
After 28 years driving big rigs, Ben knows how to prepare his truck for the journey ahead. He reduces the pressure in his tyres to smooth out the ride.
The drive's down at 60 psi and at 60 psi all the way through the back.
It's the first key trick he has up his sleeve.
Yep, she's all set to go.
Even so, it's a bone-rattling drive that's a true test of endurance. With a truck and 4 trailers, 80 wheels and 40 sets of brakes, there's a lot that can go wrong. It's 360 miles to the nearest drinking water, food or fuel. Temperatures can top 45 degrees Celsius, and there are many dangers to watch out for, not least the wildlife.
There's a lot of brumbies, which are wild horses. There's camels, kangaroos, cattle. If we can't safely get around them, we go straight over the top of them. If you hit it dead centre, it can do a lot of incredible amount of damage, and at worst, it could even cause a rollover.
"350 miles into the journey, Ben makes a routine check. The road is taking its toll. One of his brake boosters has broken loose. Undetected, it could jam the brake, causing the wheel to catch fire. He has to remove it. This time, Ben's found it before it's too late. 30 minutes later, he's back on the road. But he isn't in the clear yet.
The biggest danger on the road for us are the other vehicles, the tourists, the people who are not so sure of what they're doing behind the wheel.
Their speeding vehicles can kick up blinding dust, making driving conditions even more treacherous. And after 600 miles on the road, another problem. A storm front moves in. A desert storm can turn the dusty Tanami track to a muddy bog in minutes. Or even worse, wash it away. It's Ben's worst nightmare. If he gets stuck in this, he's on his own.
It gets so muddy that if you're actually stuck, other people can't stop to help you because they'll get stuck themselves.
Finally, after 10 long hours on the world's roughest road, the mine is in sight. He'll get 7 hours sleep in his cab before heading back out on the Tanami Road once more. At 7, total gridlock, Indian style. Delhi, India's capital, is crammed with 18 million people and 11 million vehicles. Sometimes it feels like every single one of them is jammed into the market area of Chandni Chowk.
All Delhi में ट्रैफिक जाम होता है, चलाने की मुश्किल होता है रिक्शे और बहुत मुश्किल भी परेशानी होता है उठाता है हम लोग.
First of all, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of rickshaws, bicycles. Throw in a cow, throw in an elephant, why not?
Built by the Mughals almost 4 centuries ago, the narrow streets of Old Delhi weren't designed for this many vehicles.
There is no city on the planet as bad as Delhi. It's just chaos.
On these extreme roads, the bravest of all is the rickshaw driver. Zahir Janul's made a living here for 15 years, ducking and diving on his rickshaw. The faster he gets across Chandni Chowk, the more money he takes home to his family. If there are rules of the road, no one's paying them any attention.
रूल जो है ना मैडम यहाँ से रूल सही नहीं है. कभी किसी रास्ते से निकल जाता, कभी रॉन्ग साइड से निकल जाता, कभी और कोई रास्ते से निकल जाता इसमें.
Amid the insanity, Zahir is totally unprotected on his rickshaw.
डर तो लगता है, ऐसे ही करता हूँ. रोड पे खाली रोड में चलाता हूँ, कभी भी गिर सकते, कभी एक्सीडेंट हो सकता हूँ.
If driving a rickshaw on these roads looks rough, then try getting through the traffic with an ox. Today, courier Gidi Lal and his ox are delivering vehicle parts. The fuel economy is good, but ox top speed is a plodding 2 miles an hour. It's slow, painful progress. Gidi's been making deliveries here for 25 years. The traffic gets worse every year.
एक दिन में एक इंच सगरा दिन में 8 घंटे में मैं पहुंचता था.
The market streets are constantly jammed.
वो ट्रैफिक जाम हो रहा है, पब्लिक जा रहा है, पब्लिक की जाम हो रहा है, बस की जाम हो रहा है, टंगा की जाम हो रहा है, बैलगाड़ी की भी जाम हो रहा है, रिक्शे की भी जाम हो रहा है. पूरा हॉर्न बजा रहा है, पूरा सिर दर्द आ रहा है.
Now, Gidi's ox cart is blocking everybody's way. Frustrated drivers honk him furiously to move on. But there's nothing he can do. He can't fit through the gaps in the traffic.
मालिक लोगन को माल मंगाते हैं तो मैं कहाँ टाइम से पहुँचा पाऊँगा भाई. देर लगती है, उसमें जाते भीड़ लगती है. अब वो जल्दी करते हैं कि ना माल लेके आओ, माल लेके आओ. कहाँ पे कितनी जल्दी माल लेके आ पाऊँगा. तो मत कराओ मेरे से भाई, इतनी जल्दी नहीं, मैं उड़ के थोड़े निकल जाऊँगा.
Half a mile away, and much less patient, Zahir sees an opportunity to get out of the traffic. He slips down a side road on his rickshaw. But his escape route doesn't take him far. Within minutes, he's pushed back onto the main road and back into the jam. When it all gets too much, tempers flare.
झगड़ा हो जाता है, कभी-कभी लड़ाई भी हो जाता है। किसी को और कुछ लग गया, उठा के चट्टा मार देता है, रिक्शा वाला को और भी कुछ परेशानी कर देता है।
For Zahir Janul, dealing with these threats is all in a day's work.
मैं तो भगवान से अल्लाह से दुआ करता हूँ, तो मैंने आईजी से शाम तक दुआई करता हूँ, तो आज भी बात गया तो फिर कल भी बचा लेगा।
Giddy Lal reaches his destination at last. It's taken 2 agonizing hours to travel 2 miles. And now he's got to go back again. The roads in Chandni Chowk are bursting at the seams. But these crowded streets are a reality of life in India's thriving capital. At 6, it's the world's most lawless, the South African highways. These streets are a hive of criminal activity. Just standing by the side of the road makes these men the target for a drive-by mugging. Even your own garage isn't safe. But there's one crime these roads are famous for. South Africa's criminals aren't just after your wallet. They want your wheels.
You can point a gun at someone and say, hey, give me your car, and they're going to give it up.
Carjacking. If a man comes up to you at a petrol station with a gun, just give him the car. On South Africa's roads, carjacking is a large-scale, organised business.
Cars and other vehicles are always a magnet for crime because it's easy money. They can take it to a chop shop, paint it, resell it, ship it abroad or whatever, and, you know, cash instantly.
Highway robbery happens anywhere, anytime. This intersection in the Fairview district of Johannesburg is a notorious hotspot. Across the country, there are 10,000 carjackings a year, more than one an hour.
Carjacking in South Africa is an extreme problem. It is like burglary and theft and kidnapping all wrapped into one.
At 5, in Pakistan, we get dizzy on the twistiest road, the Lowari Pass. To local Pakistanis, this mountain pass is known as Hell's Road. Up to 11 people die here every year.
The Lowari Pass is the granddaddy of all passes. If you ask any truck driver in that part of Pakistan, they will always say Lowari Pass is the most challenging road.
And this twisting, turning nightmare of a road is packed with heavily laden trucks. The drivers of each are hell-bent on getting their cargo along the road, because if they make it on time, they take home a bonus.
It's chaos. There's music blaring out of the lorries. They're probably driving with one hand.
It's a 150-mile dirt track cut through the Himalayan mountains. It runs from the remote Chitral Valley to the town of Dir.
It's one of the scariest roads in the world, and I don't even think most of us would call it a road.
But for the people who live here, it's the only road they've got. Without it, they would be cut off from the outside world. Alex Treadway is one of the few Westerners to have travelled this treacherous road.
It's beautiful, but it's like Beauty and the Beast. You never really know what's going to happen.
Driving trucks across this pass is the only way these remote villagers can make a living. They risk their lives daily. The road is steep, narrow, and extremely dangerous.
It winds up and up and up and up. It's a never-ending array of switchback turns, like a helter-skelter, going all the way up.
To calm their anxiety, some drivers turn to drugs. Marijuana.
They're smoking marijuana to take the edge off the fear that they feel about falling off the mountain.
Some truckers spend the money they earn on elaborately decorating their vehicles.
They take real pride in the way they decorate their trucks. They think that the better the truck looks, the better they are.
In some cases, these decorations add up to half a ton in weight, and that makes the trucks harder to maneuver uphill and around the hairpin corners. It's style over safety. Beneath them is a drop twice the height of the shard. And when two vehicles meet, all they can do is inch past each other, praying the road will hold them both. Truckers on the Lowari Pass live life on the edge, literally.
It gives me goosebumps just thinking about it.
Up next, roads in Japan so extreme, they helped give birth to a motorsport sensation. We've been twisting on dirt roads through the Himalayas in Pakistan. Now at 4, it's fast and furious on the Japanese Togay roads. Togay are a type of Japanese mountain road. They follow ancient routes through the country's peaks and valleys. These highways are famed for their downhill straights and hairpin turns. They are the birthplace of a worldwide extreme phenomenon. Drift racing. Adrenaline-pumped drivers in super-fast, highly modified cars. Powering down the hill, sideways.
Drifting involves a lot of precision. It's basically controlled chaos. And these guys are on the very boundaries between safe and danger all the time.
Drifting was first trialled here 30 years ago by Keiichi Tsuchiya. Back then, he was just a young racing driver, but today, he is known as the Drift King.
峠でドリフトを始めたのは多分僕が最初だと思います。
Back in 1985, Keiichi was looking to become a champion racer. He found a unique and extreme way of gaining speed.
やっぱり勝ちたい。同じところでブレーキングしてても勝てないんで、そこからこうブレーキを遅らせることによってテールが滑るような状態になっていくっていう。
You need extreme skill to master the art of drifting. One of the techniques you've got to master is the art of heeling and towing. So you've got to use your toe to press the brake pedal and your heel to press the accelerator, and that will get you out the corner as quick as possible.
Keiichi needed somewhere to practice the skills, and where could be better than the ready-made racetrack that is a Togay road. It has sharp, hairpin corners and long, winding stretches. Together, man and road created a motorsport sensation.
それが身についてくると、レースでもね、ものすごく役に立つようになりましたよね。
Keiichi's fast and furious driving on the Togay caught the attention of other racers.
僕がその峠で練習してるのを見て後輩たちがやっぱかっこいいっていうようになって。
Soon, the many Togay roads became an arena for the most extreme motorsport on the planet. Drivers speed downhill at 100 miles an hour, bumper to bumper.
It's ridiculous. These guys are driving as fast as they can on really tight roads, less than a foot apart from each other, and going sideways the whole time. The risks are huge. All you have to do is brush a guardrail and it's all over.
This daredevil sport captured the public's imagination. The drivers were worshipped like celebrities. But racing on Japan's public roads was also highly illegal. Police cracked down hard. Banned from the Togay roads where it was born, drivers took drifting onto official racetracks. The extreme but legal sport of drifting was born.
Drifting is huge in Japan. It's so big, it launched a whole car culture around it, you know, with all the movies and other popular culture you've seen, and it's spread worldwide from there.
The king of drifting, Keiichi Tsuchiya, is still grateful to the togays. But he has a warning to those wishing to test their mettle on the mountain roads.
リスクを背負って走るっていうことをちゃんと頭の中に入れておかないと非常に危険です。
At 3, it's the Arctic's incredibly remote Dalton Highway. Alaska has some of the coldest and iciest roads on the planet. There's one more extreme than the rest, the Dalton Highway, one of the most isolated roads in the world.
We're above the Arctic Circle. We're basically in the middle of nowhere.
Here, conditions are dangerous and the truckers are tough.
If you haven't had a near miss up here, you just haven't been driving long enough.
But the toughest of all are the maintenance team, who keep it open all year round. In November, the Alaskan winter closes in. This is when the trucking season becomes extreme.
Yeah, I think as far as the trucking community goes, if you can drive this road, you can pretty much drive anything.
Today, Jack Jesse is driving the Dalton Highway. He's hauling 9,000 gallons of highly flammable fuel. Ironically, he's taking the refined diesel up to the oil fields at Prudhoe Bay, far to the north.
Just because it snows a foot, or you got freezing rain, or it's blowing so hard you can't see anything, that doesn't stop us up here. We just go.
Jack's journey along the Dalton Highway is a 414-mile trip through America's last remaining wilderness. It should take 12 hours, but Jack has been driving this road for 15 years, and in past winters, he's known the journey take 5 days.
It is so remote up here, there's nothing. Literally nothing. I got more companionship with moose and wolves up here and bears than I do with any human.
A road mostly built on top of icy permafrost, 250 miles from the nearest town. This is as remote as it gets.
The Dalton Highway is possibly the loneliest road on the planet, and it's the site of the coldest temperatures in all of North America.
Deep in the Arctic Circle, sudden changes in the weather can make the driving even more dangerous.
When the wind picks up and blows, then it's a whiteout. Basically, it's like closing your eyes and driving by braille.
Jack is one of 250 truckers on the Dalton today. They're carrying crucial supplies, and come what may, they have to get through. "300 miles north of Jack is the Atagan Pass. The team based here are the hardcore of the Alaska Roads Department. Their job is to keep the Dalton open. Working in temperatures that plunge to minus 40 degrees Celsius. It's a tough job.
You gotta have the nerve for it. We try to have a 30 below cutoff because anything past 30 below, our equipment just breaks.
After days of heavy snow, the highway team are getting ready for action. Today, they must prevent an avalanche from suddenly hitting the highway. And like the team on the Kootenay Pass, they do it by blasting the snow off the mountain. They're bringing out the big gun. And gun master Gordon Scott has the most dangerous job on the highway.
These guns were designed to be mounted on light vehicles, so there is no recoil. Half the energy goes out the front, that's the projectile. Half the energy comes out the back. It's a giant flame. If you're within 100 feet of it, you'll be gone. I'll never see you again.
With the gun in place, the maintenance team close the road. They need a secure area to fire into.
Well, we're gonna fire some shells up here at the snowpack up there and see if we can knock some avalanches down on the road. It's all to keep the highway open and safe for the people who traverse it.
Gordon needs to move fast. He's working directly in the danger zone. And down below, the backup of traffic on the Dalton is building. They need to reopen the road. Armed and ready, it's time to shoot down the snowpack. The 4-inch artillery gun can accurately fire shells at predetermined targets on the mountainside.
Close the breech. Safety's good. Clear the front. Clear the rear.
It's a hit. The snow is cleared off the mountain, but there's now 75 tons of debris blocking the road. Heading up from the south, Jack will soon hit the Atacon Pass. If the snow's not cleared, he and the other truckers won't be able to deliver their vital cargo on time. The work is relentless and dangerous.
I'm working on a hill that's 7 and 8% grade for a climb. A loader with a bucket of snow or debris in it will tip over at 10 or 15% grade, so I'm already at halfway.
If someone gets hurt, the nearest hospital is 8 hours away. But the road must reopen. After an hour of hard digging, the pass is clear. The trucks start rolling again on America's remotest road.
And without these guys doing their job right, there's no way I could ever get mine done. I get stuff out onto the oil field, and that's what this is all about.
At 2, it's the bleak Siberian highways. Siberia is made up of 5 million square miles of forest and windswept tundra. It's also home to 2,500 miles of the worst driving road on Earth. Only the hardest truckers will drive these highways for a living. But adventurers, Walter Kolbach and Tony Petty, ride them for fun.
I love going there for the adventure. I like going where foreigners haven't been before. I like sort of exploring new areas.
The first challenge is the roads themselves.
When I say a road, I don't mean a surfaced road, it's just a graded gravel track. The biggest danger is probably the mud, collapsed roads, rock slides which take the road away.
These tracks come with a grim history. Many were built by the prisoners of Stalin's gulags. One is even called the Road of Bones. It's said to run over the bodies of the men who died building it. Out here, the real enemy is the environment. In winter, temperatures plunge to 70 degrees below. In summer, rain turns the land into a muddy morass, causing extreme traffic jams. Like this one, where a drunk driver got stuck in the mud and caused a 62-mile tailback.
In Siberia, everything is extreme. In the middle of summer, you can have a day where it's almost 40 degrees, and a couple of days later, it can be 5 or 6 degrees, cold, rainy, windy, hailing. On top of that, you've got the biggest, most aggressive mosquitoes in the world.
And even worse than the bloodsuckers are the carnivores.
You've got bears, you've got wolves, you've got this remoteness. It's something that you really feel when you're out there in remote areas, just how isolated you are.
For Walter and Tony, these threats are all part of the adventure.
When riding a motorcycle on these roads, you are on loose surfaces for days, weeks. You have to concentrate 100% on the surface because it's constantly changing. It's an incredible challenge.
Up next, at number 1, deep in the Bolivian Andes, is the world's most extreme road. Previously, in our countdown of the world's most extreme roads, the remotest, the busiest, and the bleakest highways on Earth. Now, top of our list at number 1 is Bolivia's Death Road. This is the Yungas Pass, the world's most extreme road.
The Death Road is known for being the most dangerous highway in the world, and its reputation is 200 to 300 lives every single year.
It's a 38-mile track that winds down through the Bolivian mountains from the capital, La Paz, to the town of Coraico. It's a single-lane dirt track.
There's not enough room for two cars to pass side by side, so one of them has to risk putting the wheels off the edge.
Over the edge is a 1,900-foot drop, straight down.
Tener más coraje, ¿no? Para viajar.
This is as terrifying as roads get.
If you get it wrong on this road, it's certain death.
Today, Roberto Quinjones and his wife Ines Quispe prepare to ride the Death Road. They're hauling building materials on a 180-mile round trip. They know the dangers.
El camino viejo, el peligro, el riesgo que a veces encontramos en esta carretera es que uno que existe deslizamiento, otro que es la carretera es angosto, otro que es la neblina.
Roberto is one of 50 truck drivers who regularly has to travel this old road.
Por eso para mí es una carretera muy importante.
But before he tackles the Yungas Road, Roberto offers a prayer to keep him safe. It's a ritual shared by many Bolivian truckers.
Si Diosito no quiere que yo estire las patas, bueno, pues voy a seguir con vida así.
After 25 years driving the Yungas Road, Roberto knows where the accident hotspots are.
El problema más grande está, digamos, es el Balconcillo, San Juanani, Chuspipata, los lugares más tristes, ¿no? De un embarrancamiento que hubiera, porque ahí se va, es por eso que cuidamos esa seguridad. Viene siendo la mayor parte por el rincón, y el que está de entrada, entramos casi vacío, vamos por el lado izquierdo. Es para dar más seguridad entre nosotros.
This road is risky, but so far, Roberto hasn't had an accident.
Si tengo que morir, ¿qué puedo hacer? No hay otra alternativa porque...
But every year, many are not so lucky. Crosses on the roadside are a constant reminder of those who've fallen victim to the perils of this road.
Porque ha habido muchos accidentes, ¿no? Que es inseparable hasta el momento, ¿no?
On the 28th of December 2011, there was heavy rain on the Yungas Road overnight.
Domingo y estaba lloviendo, toda la noche había llovido y la carretera estaba toda mojada, todo ese sector estaba húmedo.
A bus loaded with passengers was on the road. One of those on board was Antonio Aguila. Suddenly, the driver stopped.
Llegó el conductor del bus, llegó allá, nos dijo, estaba un poco más cedido la tierra y nos bajó el conductor, lo apagó el motor y vino a ver y nos dijo, no, esto va a resbalar, tienen que bajar todo.
What happened next was captured on camera. Part of the track had been washed away by the rain. It became a dangerously narrow mudslide, and the bus was too heavy. The driver needed to lighten the load, but some were reluctant to move.
3 señores de edad no quisieron bajar, pero el señor conductor les dijo, todos tienen que bajar porque estamos llevando carga más y es pesado. Este lugar nos podemos roncear.
Eventually, the old men got off, and the driver inched forward.
pasando justo un poco más y avanzó. La rueda trasera resbaló a este lado. Todos gritábamos y de repente ya desapareció, ya no había flota.
The bus fell 1,000 feet. The driver lost his life, but he saved the lives of all his passengers.
No, gracias a Dios ese día nos dijo que bajáramos porque toditos ahorita no les hubiera contado nada de esas cosas. No, siempre pasa por estas carreteras, ha habido diciendo, siempre está, por eso le dicen carretera de la muerte.
But drivers like Roberto must continue to travel this dangerous road.
Bueno, tú ya estás curtido también de viajar y casi no se siente porque ese es nuestro compromiso, de ser un conductor, de ser un chofer. El compromiso de llevar una herramienta de trabajo.
The scariest road of all, Bolivia's death road, is the world's most extreme.